The people, I think it's good in a way is that they're very stubborn people. And so they're very firm in their decisions. There is a debate between Macedonia and Greece right now, you know, whether Alexander the Great was Macedonian or whether he was Greek. And so building those statues of Alexander the Great in the middle of the city just shows how stubborn they are, or how confident they are that Alexander the Great was Macedonian and not Greek. Because I don't know if I've seen any of those statues in Greece as big as the one that was built in Skopje Center Square. There's a lot of gypsies, I guess, or in Macedonia you call them Roma, that live there. There's a really big population that lived there, and it's really sad because they're really mistreated, you know, and we would always drive around and they'd be knocking on the doors for money or for, you know, for things like that. So that's really sad. But I had a chance to go to a Roma village and be able to serve there and give them free English lessons and stuff. So that was really cool. I mean, they're just normal people, you know, like everyone else. But in Macedonia, I think they're looked down upon because they are a different color and they're poor as well. And drinking's a big part of that culture. So they have raki, which is basically pure alcohol. That's a traditional drink that's drinking, or that's drunk a lot, you know, during parties or for weddings or for things like that. I don't know if it's like this with Macedonian weddings, but I was able to attend a Roma wedding. And so if I remember correctly, I think it's a week long, and it's basically you just get as drunk as you can every night. There's non-stop music the whole entire night, dancing the whole entire night. So it's different than America in that, you know, when you get married, it's one day you get married and then you have the reception and then, you know, you're off on your honeymoon or whatever. Whereas in countries like that it's a week, you know, a week-long span, if not, you know, longer than that, and, you know, different parts of the region depending on the customs that they have in that region. So there is a big population that lives in Macedonia that are Albanian. I'm sure that the Macedonian people would say that their culture is distinctly different from the Albanian culture, but to me, as an outsider, having lived in both of those countries, I don't really see too big of a difference between, you know, maybe a few varying things, but for the most part I think it's on the same boat. The language is pretty cool. It's pretty similar to Russian, Cyrillic, but there's a couple letters that are added on in Macedonian, and it sounds a little bit different. I guess it's close as well to like Serbian. In Macedonian, to say how are you, say kako ste. And then to say you're doing well is dobro. To say like my name, or if you were to ask someone how their name is, you say kako se vikaš. And then you would respond that my name is Savikam, Tyler. So definitely similarities between Serbian and Russian. So if you have a base of that, you know, Slavic language, then it's not terribly hard to learn Macedonian. So Macedonia, to me, is the more modern of the Eastern Bloc countries that I've visited or been to. They have massive shopping mall. They have, you know, they have a Burger King. They have a McDonald's. They're really building a lot of stuff. So when I was going to university in Massachusetts, I would come back to Macedonia for Christmas. And so the first Christmas I was there was no statues or anything. But the summer that I finished my sophomore year of college and came home, they were starting to build big statues of, you know, Alexander the Great and, you know, these shopping malls, and it just looks so modern. I mean, the buildings, the government building looks like a real building. It's not one of those cement buildings that communism is known for. I think it's a lot cleaner than other countries that I had been to in that area. So that was nice. And the driving was more modern, as more rules were followed. Red lights and stop signs, I think, were followed a little bit more better than other places. Lots of lawyers, lots of bank workers, lots of banks. There's a few universities there in the capital of Skopje. just like Uzbekistan, there's a lot of history there. That's where Paul, went through Macedonia. There's a lot of old ruins that they've been digging up. I worked a summer internship at the U.S. Embassy there, and I was part of the public relations / social media side of that. So we were able to travel quite a bit and see different parts of Macedonia. There's a city called Bitola that was really nice. There was a nice lake, Ohrid Lake down there, and then also the town of Ohrid, which is a really big summer destination for people from Greece. I mean, from Germany, from everywhere that go down to Ohrid. It's really, really beautiful. Alexander the Great came through there. So that's, I think, one of the biggest things. They're in the city center. There's a massive, massive statue of him on a horse, with his sword, pointing out that way. And then on, bridges, you have statues of lions and stuff. It's just really cool to see all those statues and everything. I think it's pretty safe. There's definitely parts of Skopje, people who push the boundaries of Islam and what its true meaning is. But I think as a foreigner that you would be okay going there. They have lots of shops in that area where they actually sell unique jewelry. There's a store there that sells butterfly pins. I forget what they're made out of, but they're the only place in the world that make those. So they were pretty pricey, but they were worth the buy because, they don't make them anywhere else. Transportation, is really well. They had double-decker buses that were going through the city. And so that was really weird to see because you only see double-decker buses in England. That's the only place I've ever seen them. So seeing that was really cool. And they looked like they worked fine. And the cars there were nice for the most part. You have old school communist cars like a Zaporozh and a Lada, which are the really old school ones. But you also have modern cars, Mercedes, Beamers, Audis. So